Good afternoon, Professor.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Hello. All right.
Good afternoon.
I love it. Good afternoon. All right. That was okay. Especially when I'm late. I apologize for being late. Good afternoon. I think that was Savannah. I think that was David. it was so fast. I apologize, but good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I think Savannah, I think David, or maybe Adon. Good afternoon. Maybe that was Caitlin. Well, and you could let me know if it was, but thank you. And I'm sorry I'm late. But thank you for not being late. All right, let me do all the good afternoons. Okay, okay. Oh, that was it. Okay, good afternoon. Wait, no, I'm gonna go sorry. Good afternoon, Caitlin. Good afternoon, Amanda. Good afternoon, Kimberly. Good afternoon, Caroline. Good afternoon, Savannah. Good afternoon, Felicia. Good afternoon, Elizabeth. I'm doing this in order. Good afternoon, Shamil. Good afternoon, Elda. Did I say Felicia? Sorry. Good afternoon, Felicia. If I didn't say, good afternoon, Amy. Now I'm going to go in the other order. This is I know. I'll take less and less time with this, but come on, we got to be human. All right. Good afternoon, David. Good afternoon, Sophia. Good afternoon, Kevin, Adon, Chloe, Alicia, David, Nicholas, Jamalet, Christina, Amy. Now I'm going back. Okay. I'm doing this. Who did I? Samuel. I know he even corrected me in the homework. I'm still getting it wrong. Okay, wait, I'm doing the thing now. All right. Good afternoon, Dave. This is the chat. Good afternoon, David. Good afternoon, Kevin. Hello, Felicia. Hi, Christina. Good afternoon, Alicia. Good afternoon, Amanda. Hello, Sophia. Hi, Elizabeth. Good afternoon, Caitlin. Good afternoon, Elder. Good afternoon, Kimberly. Good afternoon, Jamalet, I think. Good afternoon, Adon, I think. Good afternoon, Amy. Good afternoon, Amy. Oh, how did I not catch that before? All right. Good afternoon, Amy C. Good afternoon, Amy K. See, this is why this is worthwhile. So, okay. Good afternoon, Shamil. Good afternoon, Nicholas. Good afternoon, Caroline. And it was Savannah. Okay, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. See, that's actually helpful. Good afternoon. I mean, Savannah. Okay. Good afternoon, Chloe. Good afternoon, David. And it's oh, okay, Sam. All right. I probably will take you up on that, Sam. Thank you. Good afternoon. Although I think, do I have another? Wait, there's another Sam. Maybe that's the other class, though. I think that's the other class. Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate it. And it's fine if you call me whatever. Okay. Good afternoon, all of you. Seriously, it's good to see you again. I'm sorry I hopped on late. Oh, quick question. When you're in the waiting room, does it say anything? Wait, how can I? The waiting room is different. It looks, you can tell when I'm logged on, but just not in, right? Like there's a difference between the waiting room versus just what it would say if you just logged into my Zoom address like at a random hour and I wasn't even on, right? Like it says something like physics or something. Is that correct? Like it doesn't.
It says remain inert for a couple of minutes or something like that.
It does actually say that. Okay, that's what thank you. All right, that's like weird, but good. That's actually, I forgot that I'd written that, but that's what I'm asking. All right, thank you. And who was that also? Was that Caitlin? That was Caitlin, right? Or no.
Felicia.
Oh, Felicia. Oh, thank you. Oh, see. Oh, okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, and that's participation and blah, blah, blah. And we'll move fast today. But also, by the way, I did notice that even when I said, oh, that was Caitlin, Caitlin did her face did acknowledge that it wasn't. That totally or that she even heard what Felicia said. That counts as participation too. Just like human interaction. It's all about so that totally counts. Okay, quick also thing that Felicia just reminded me. In my mind, just so you know, this is not I'm okay. Okay, we have to get to the homework and all that. The homework is coming back more slowly to you than it is coming into me. I apologize. In fact, wait, okay. I want to acknowledge that. So hang on here. We are going to finish sheet 1 today. That we will do. We will get, I believe, we will get to sheet 2. Hopefully most of you have gotten back a bunch of game turns and things like that. I want to talk about that. But as far as actual proper homeworks, you're starting to get them back now. Let me tell you what I mean by you're starting. Hold on a second. Like many of you in this class, I believe, have now gotten something back for number line. I'm going to be more specific about that in a second. If you did not get back average speed or train of thought yet, that's not you, that's me. I got off to a very slow start. but many of you have gotten back number line. Let me be specific, in fact, for a second about number. So number line, a lot of people have gotten back with points. Let me make clear again, no matter what, and that's assuming you turned it in on time. If it came in at all late, you're not being punished or anything like that. But if you turned it in late, I probably haven't gotten to it yet. I mean, that's the difference between a consequence and someone is in the waiting room. Sorry, hold on. That is the difference between a consequence and a punishment. Like, it's not personal. It's just that's just the order. That's just what happened. But hold on, someone's in the waiting room. I thought. Wait, no, wait. But yes, someone is. Okay. So just again, I want to get moving faster and faster, but since we're all now that I'm really looking at your homework, or maybe gone to, like, I think I'm getting more of a sense of what is coming across and what is not of my nonsense. So again, if you have not gotten back train of thought or average speed, that is not on you. And it doesn't mean I don't know that you've done them. It's just sad life. It may mean you may be finding okay. On number line though, on homework 1, I'm going to name some names right now. These are good. If you hear your name, it's a good thing, not a bad thing. If your name is Sam, or there are 2 Sams in this class. That is the deal. Okay. If your name is Sam A or Sophia, or this is not a bad thing, this is a good thing. If you are Sam or Sophia or Elda or Shamil or David Kahn or David Pinter or Nicholas or Savannah, that means I totally have your number line. And most of the names I just read totally turned it in exactly on time. Maybe some of them didn't. I'm not going to get into that specific, but I have it. I know you turned it in. I just haven't gotten yours back yet, just because I'm behind and like I'm going in some weird order. There's no, if you didn't get it back, I apologize. That is not a reflection on your work. I mean, the truth is actually, well, anyway, definitely if your name is, okay, to be specific, if your name is Sam A or Sophia or Shamil or David Pinter or Savannah, I definitely understand that you turned it in like a million years ago. I definitely get that. There's no rhyme or reason to the fact you haven't gotten it back yet. I apologize. I just want to make that clear. Now, pretty much anybody else in the room, I think, either maybe turned it in like 5 minutes after it's due and that you still can get 20 points for it. It's not a penalty. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Or you got it back. So let me be clear about that. And this again is to everybody. We're going to continue going over it today, and we're going to finish it today, hopefully. If you got it back, whatever your score is, you can still get a 20. We are not up to punishments and penalties or anything like that. I mean, maybe hopefully we never are, but if you got anything less than a 20, it just means there's still things you could or should do. And in some cases, I might have been super fast on my commenting of it. Like, there are some of you in the room that did not get a 20, but you got every single answer right. And I know that. So, okay, on the one hand, you can get every single answer right and still not get a 20. The way to, or get a full, all the points. The way to get the full points is to do all of the 5 steps. Okay, really, really. And now that I'm seeing some of these homeworks, like I believe even more strongly in asking you to do that, especially because, again, I'm saying you have infinite time to do it. It doesn't matter if you didn't do it yet, but you still want to do all the steps. Let me be a little bit more clear about that too. It was an optional assignment today for like participation to turn in like a summary, like an instruction manual of what the 5 steps are. 2 of you elected to do it. That's terrific. I don't even know if the 2 people did. Like, I could tell they got all the points. Let me put it that way. The 2 people that did it, got it back, got all the points. Great. I might give you an extension and say that more of you could, even though I said it was due today, I might give an extension because I will say that, I'm looking at the chat. I see something in the chat. Hang on. No. I mean, great question. To interrupt myself for a second. In the chat, I mean, in the direct chat, in the private chat, there's a really personal, private question, which is really putting me on the spot. And I'm so glad it was personal and private, which says, is there a due date for resubmitting the number line homework? The answer is no, let me be as clear. And again, I have to walk a fine line between being like interesting and being clear. To be uninteresting and clear, as yet, there are no firm deadlines. There are suggested deadlines for getting things in and staying on top of work, but there's no firm deadlines for resubmitting anything yet. There's still an opportunity for everybody in this room to get all the points they can. For resubmitting something, take your time. I'll let you know once we're like, it's really a moot point. I mean, and it will be at some point, but no, there's no deadline. I want everybody to get this, and I'll probably even re-extend the deadline or whatever on the optional 35 points for writing a summary of the 5 steps, because, or not a summary, I mean a point by point, blow by blow. You're going to keep seeing the 5 steps from me again, but let me say, and I want you guys to learn how to solve problems in physics. And the way to learn how to solve really hard problems is to learn the method through the lens of comparatively slightly more straightforward problems or less mysterious problems, honestly. So I am saying, so to answer the direct chat person, and maybe they could acknowledge, maybe if take your time, but I will still accept resubmissions on anything for more points, especially because look, I'm obviously behind. So how could I tell you? And on homework 2 and homework 3, which we're technically already due, if you're starting to see, if you finally did get something back on homework 1, or you're starting to see in class that I really am strict about the steps, you can resubmit 2 or 3 before I even know the difference. And fix them. Okay. Oh, great. Thank you, direct chat person. That totally counts as closing a conversational path. Thank you. Here's the thing again, and we will get rolling. I always say that, but okay. There's another direct chat thing, a different person. I forgot to do that. In terms of the regular, so someone wrote in the direct chat, I just realized I forgot to do the game turn homework from last class. Is it okay if I hand it in late? So here's the weird thing with the game turns, even though they're smaller and less, formal or less mathematical and worth less points, and even though they are technically optional, with them, I'm a little bit stricter about the timing, which is weird, but I am a little, so it's unexpected, but I'm a little stricter about the timing with those game turns, partly because they are so fast to do, and they're the same thing every class. So if they were to start piling up, it would get really confusing, like which class you're talking about. And they're supposed to just be a reflection about that class of that day. So it does get weird if people start. So with those, I actually am kind of strict about the timing. Also, they're optional anyway. But so what I mean by that is this: we're still in the beginning of the year. If you didn't turn, if you're still getting used to the system and like. You could turn in game turn number, even though technically tonight game turn number 4 is what's due. And yes, to get the full 5 points, you have to turn it in before midnight. If you turn it in after midnight, or if tonight you turn in, the game turn from last class, I will take it. I will give you 4 points instead of 5 points. I mean, which is still a lot. Okay, and that is the standard thing. I mean, that's not a personal exception. With the game turns, if you turn it in, but you turn it in late, you'll get 4 points instead of 5. But then once like we're so backed up that you're turning it like you're 2 classes behind, then it will get very confusing and weird. And then I would just say, please just skip it, because it's just too confusing and weird. But yeah, you could still turn in from last class for 4 points. Any of the other game things, that are worth a lot more points, those can be turned in at any time. Those are all technically due December 1st or something, except maybe this 5-step thing, which maybe I'll reassign. But so hopefully that clarifies. What I'm trying to, but with the 5-step method, okay, I'm going to go back. Oh, okay, great. Thank you. And and again, to everybody, if someone asked me a question, then I answered it, and then they said, okay, thank you, or something, remember, they can at least double dip that. That can go into the portal that says closing a conversational path for extra points. Like there's a lot of points to be gotten here if you start just like kind of paying attention to how it works. But it is a weird system, or it's an unusual system. So so I take a lot to explain it. Wait, there's two. Okay. One quick thing, this goes back to something I was going to say 20 minutes ago, like Felicia reminded me inadvertently, like Felicia, this is a good thing. I'm not to embarrass anybody, but just for example, Felicia or Elizabeth or Shamil or Sam A, are they both Sam A? Oh God, wait, is it, both of them are Sam A. Okay, well, Sam, how, like, notice they have what I would call avatars. I'm probably not even using that word right, but they have like images in their boxes as opposed to just black squares, but also as opposed to showing video. I think that's like credit worthy. I think that's worth something. Like, we can't always show video. I totally understand that, but even showing something in just something that makes it like life more pleasant, and also just makes it so I like a little slightly higher chance of me remembering that you're a person and you're not the same person as your neighbor, is just helpful. So those people, I'm saying, like the picture of the rose, the picture of the anime stuff that's going on, like those pictures, like those people can submit a screenshot of that into the portal that says avatar. Maybe I'm using the word wrong, maybe I'm pronouncing the word wrong, but that's what I mean. But the people that are showing video, they can submit into the thing that says video. And again, every single time you can do this, or you can switch back and forth. And I think the video is worth a little bit more points, I think. It should be. So some of you actually do turn on your video, but then you like submit it in avatar. I didn't take off points or anything, but I'm just saying you can get even more points if you submit it into video. Okay, that's that. Hopefully that's clear. Okay, we're gonna go back now to going over homework 1, but I want to say again, like now that two of you actually did submit a thing that explained to me what you understood about the 5-step methods. And now that I've seen a lot of your homeworks, not all, I apologize, but a lot of your number line homework 1 and all the ones from the other section, like I can see, and many of you might have submitted it before I even started explaining the 5-step method, but you really do need the 5 steps. Like the downside of the system, the thing that is annoying to many of you, is that even if you get the right answers, you still have to show the steps. I'm saying that. But the upside is, first of all, you still have time to do that. Second of all, please note, as we proceed further, already there were some of you who, by the time you got to the last couple of questions of homework 1, some of you wrote something like, I don't know how to do this, or you put question mark, or you left it blank, or I have no idea what the answer is or something. Now I'm sympathetic because the questions do get harder as we go by the end of the number. Like the last couple of questions on the sheet did take some thought. They were multi-step questions. And the sheets are going to get harder and harder as we go. I'm totally sympathetic, but here's what I'm saying. With the 5-step method, there's kind of like not really much of an excuse or reason to leave something completely blank. Like the whole point of the 5-step method is to give you something to do when you don't know what to do. Really important in physics. And I'm saying that as a guy who has seen many questions that I did not know how to answer. What we're really saying ultimately in physics is that questions can be involved enough or deep enough that you might not see the final answer right when you look at the question. But don't get in this bad, don't believe the hype. Don't get fooled by your prior amazing success that you've had in science to get this far, or your prior amazing success that you've had in math to get this far. And I know you had to have some. Don't let your success trip you up. Don't think, I mean, this is a curse of the smart person. The curse of the smart person is that and that means all of us in this room, the smart person gets used to being smart and gets used to seeing things that maybe sometimes other people don't see as fast, or gets used to seeing things quickly when they see things at all. So then the smart person gets tricked by their own intelligence and their own success into thinking that if they don't see something right away, then it's invisible, or then it's beyond them, or then they can't see it. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm saying we want to get into the realm now where there are things that we can see that we can't see right away. So we have to nudge toward them step by step. The advantage of the 5-step method is that even if you don't see an answer, or you don't even think you know what to do to dissect the question and get to the answer, there's like 3 steps that you can do before you even have to start thinking or computing or calculating. So, and you can get tons of points, even if by the end you fall apart and don't have an answer or have a wrong answer. So all right, enough of this. So on exams, the only way to lose all the points of a question is to literally leave it blank. That's ultimately the thing that I'm trying to dissuade everybody from doing. Literally leaving something blank is the thing we don't want to do. Again, right now, if you did, there's still time to correct that. But that's what we're trying to avoid. All right, enough of my talking. I mean, clearly, I'm afraid of blank silence as much as I'm afraid. All right, so I'm just changing the view. I'm going to start. I'm going to continue. You can interrupt me at any time, please do. But I'm going to continue now with the number line sheet. I'm going to pick up from where we were before. Right. So, and I might need a reminder. Hold on a second. In fact, sorry, hold on. Let me just pull up. Bear with me for a second. Okay, okay, I believe. But please do stop me if so you'll see from your grading in some of the cases, if you got back homework 1, you might have gotten all the answers. I might have written very little. I might have just written DFP ? WIQ ? And then not giving you a 20. It is that straightforward that I'm looking for the steps above all else. So, and based on the 2 people that did take the plunge of handing in a blow by blow of the steps, I could even tell with them, and this is a compliment, like, thank you for doing it, and they got all the points, and the rest of you can still do it. I'll change the date on it. But I could even tell from them that it's a little shaky what exactly I'm saying. So please stop me. I'm not just saying show all your work. I'm saying in a very specific way what I think the work is. So if you didn't quite get the acronyms, for example, DFP means diagram and fact pattern. It's actually not an either or. It's not an option. We need a diagram. A lot of your homeworks had a lot of good stuff, but didn't have a diagram. And that was it. I just wrote DFP and then there wasn't a perfect score. If you're looking for a perfect score, we do need a diagram. So if any of these acronyms are unclear, so I think it's a good exercise for you to do the 5-step thing out that I asked, and I will change the deadline. But if there's any questions as I'm going, please let me know. All right. God. So talking so much about talking. Okay, we are up, correct me if I'm wrong, but we are up. Oh yeah, okay. I said the answer, but I didn't do it out. So here's what I think. I think we are up to question 4. Stop me if I'm wrong, but also I'm gonna write it, okay. Okay, so we're doing question 4 now. Wait, I'm going back to chat. Sorry, we're doing question 4. There's nothing in the chat. I'm assuming, I'm doing the steps. I'll do this again. Okay, first I addressed the diagram. Now because I'm taking so much time as it is, I'm not redrawing the diagram now. I'm assuming that you have it at the beginning of your notes from all of this or in the prior page. So I'm writing that. Again, you can do that too in your homework. Once you're on question 4, you've already written the diagram for question 1 and 2. So you can say see above, but the diagram does have to be there. Okay, so I've addressed it. Step 2, what is the question? Now, the question is from t equals 0 to t equals 8 seconds, what is the average velocity? So I'm going to do some sidebar now about notations and equations. But the question is, what is the average velocity? And let me say, and here, see, and again, like I know it's a funny, in a way, I try to be superly, overly compassionate or forgiving or generous or slow about certain things, but it's also because I'm a little bit crazy about other things. I'm crazily strict, and you have to sort of pay attention to see which was which. Hopefully it's not a surprise after a while. But so what's my point right now? My point is, you might notice on your homework, if you got it back, that like I need these steps step by step. I'm not saying you have to label each step a step, but what I'm saying is that many of you got the answer so fast. Like for question 4, many of you wrote out something like average velocity equals -9/8 feet per second, and you circled that, right? Which is good. And that is the final answer. Like that's good. And hopefully I put a check mark somewhere or something, but you can't just start with that. Even though that is tacitly making clear, I suppose, what the question is in retrospect, it's mushing together the question and the answer in one statement. That's sadly not good enough. It might be sort of apparent in a question this straightforward, but after a while, you can't assume that I know what the question or that the reader understands what the question is from giving the reader the answer. It's not fair to the reader to expect the reader to see that all in one step. So I need specifically to see what the question is. Then you're going to put down some GDP, some general and here we go. Some general definitions and principles that allow me to answer the question. Then you're going to do some work. Then you're going to give me the answer. The final answer will be a complete statement that looks a lot like the original question, but they have to be delineated. Sorry to sound like this. Now, so I'm going to do that here, but I want to get to some notation now. Because we do need to speed up more and more. So I'm going to say sidebar now. Again, please remember, when I say sidebar, I don't mean unimportant. I mean, I'm now talking to you as a professor. I'm not expecting that you would write this down in your homework. Okay, but here's the sidebar about notation and equations. Like we're trying to build symbols for all this English as we go. So on the next page, and again, stop me if I'm going to say, remember, we said that X equals position, T stands for moment in time. Now a new notation. Okay, V stands for average velocity. Why did it not come up on the screen? Should come up. Okay. Velocity as opposed to speed. We mentioned this last time. Velocity is a vector quantity. Speed is a scalar quantity. So velocity includes all the information, the size of what we mean by speed, but it also includes direction, specifically positive or negative, right? So I'm going to, so velocity is to displacement as speed is to distance. I'm going to be more specific about that in a minute. But so like I mentioned, we tend to use these symbols and these equations and stuff for vector quantities in physics, the more precise directional quantities. So that's what I'm doing here. But let me note, just like I did last time, in physics in general, if you have any, remember we said last time, you have a symbol and then you put a subscript next to a subscript 0 to the right of it, then that means the value of that symbol at t equals 0, right? The initial value of whatever that symbol is. Similarly, from now on in physics, if we put a line above a symbol, above a variable, we mean the average value of that variable. So from that, so basically I'm telling you two things now. I'm saying V is what we're going to use for velocity in the future. But if we put a bar above it, we mean average velocity. What is average velocity? What does it mean? What it means by definition, and again, here's another thing, a good GDP, when you're doing the steps out, step 3, GDP, general definitions and principles, again, I'm catching from looking at some of your work, I think, and all of you are trying, by the way. If I sound critical or whatever, like, I don't think anybody's doing anything malicious or lazy or weird. We're trying to go from really good scientists to super smart physicists. Like, I want you to get your money's worth. So to go to the next level, I think everybody's trying and doing things, but I get the feeling from looking at the homeworks and stuff that this step 3 GDP, general definitions and principles, I think to some people, they took me to just mean write down some stuff that might be important about the problem, or now write down facts that are knowns in the problems. Like, you might have thought I just meant kind of like the old 7th grade thing of like, write down everything you know. In fact, there's an acronym for that they say in 7th grade, like WW, like what we know or something. You might think I'm just saying instead of write down anything you know from the problem. Not really. That's actually kind of right what you write down in step 1, DFP, the diagram and fact pattern. In step 1, you write down the givens of the problem. But in step 3 of the problem solving method, you write down things that are true in general before the problem even began. You're writing down big truths that are going to be used to solve this problem, such as general definitions. Definitions are not necessarily given in a particular problem. We assume that we know them even before the problem is read. That's what we're looking for in GDP in step 3. And one indicator that we're writing down proper things for step 3 GDP is that we would tend to write down triple equal sign things, definitions, things that are true, period, across the board. So here, okay, technically I'm still all in my sidebar here, but I hope I haven't lost anybody. And please let me know if I did. I'm technically in my sidebar, but this is our actual first. This is not a small piece of information to us in this class. This is our first equation in this class, okay? I'm trying to circle that. It's not the answer to the homework question. I'm still in the sidebar, like that's why it's in brown, whatever. But this thing that's circled in the bottom left is our first equation for the class. It's saying what average velocity is defined to be. What average velocity is total displacement over total time. And remember, we said last class, if you're writing things down in mathematical notations, total displacement, oh, sorry, oh God, I see. Okay, sorry. There was an extra subscript there that shouldn't have been there. You might have, if anybody caught, if that was confusing you, sorry. So there was an extra subscript that I just erased. Please look at the, in fact, I'm going to be really weird now. Hold on a second. can you just put in the chat, in the public chat? Hold on, I'm changing the view. Just put it, and this is for points, for participation, whatever, just to be weird. Can you please put in the chat if you catch the fact that I just erased an extra subscript? There was a subscript, like, or somehow raise your hand or something. Did you catch the fact that I did? Great, awesome. Thank you, Savannah. I love it. Thank you. Thank you, Caitlin. I love it. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Kimberly. And there's still time for it. It was on the X value. Yes, exactly. No. Oh, that's very honest. Thank you. And that totally counts. Thank you, Caroline, for your honesty. Okay. And thank you all. And you could still put in the chat. But what I'm trying to alert everybody, the reason I'm stopping, because I just, oh, and Savannah, you've got your hand. Okay, cool. Yes. I just want to make clear because I just changed something and I don't want anybody to have been getting a cup of coffee when the first X accidentally had a subscript on it, but it was a mistake. I know it was going crazy. I was thinking about, I don't know what. So I erased it. So it's a correction. So please look at your screen right now. If you're like, wait, what's going on? Why did the class just come to a grinding halt? Because I don't want you to have a mistake in your notes. If you look in the middle of the sheet right now, there's an equation, and then the equation is written down at the bottom left. It looks, yes. And by the way, if you put that in the direct chat, that totally counts, and you could totally screenshot that. Thank you. I totally see it, but I'm not going to mention your name. And thank you for your honesty, Caroline. Hope and anybody else who didn't catch it, please let me know if you catch now what I'm saying. I'm saying we now have our first equation in the class. Our first equation in the class is V bar triple equal sign X minus X naught over T. Am I saying this is a hard equation? No, I hope I'm not saying that. Am I saying something that in a way, maybe some of you even think, it's like not even worth talking about? Maybe, hopefully, I almost hope so. But I think it's worth talking about because again, I want to show you like the format of how everything works through the lens of this equation. Now, again, I'm still in the context of going over homework 1. You might or might not have written all this. I'm sure many of you got an answer without like necessarily dragging all this out, but I'm saying a couple of things here. First of all, I'm saying from now on, this is an equation that we can use. It is the definition of average velocity. Average velocity is final position minus initial position over technically final time minus initial time. It's very symmetric. Originally, the equation as written in the middle of this page is just saying that average velocity is the simplest possible ratio of a space interval to a time interval. If all of physics is motion through space and time, then average velocity, we begin with it because it is just the most direct, straightforward way we can relate a chunk of space that someone traveled to the chunk of time that it took them to travel that. Okay, in some, right, just like speeds in a car are measured in miles per hour, for example, right? It's just how far did you get per how much time did it take you? The bigger the numerator, the faster you're going, the smaller the denominator, the shorter time you took, the faster you're going, right? I mean, and again, I know in a way everybody knows this, but now notice a couple of things. First of all, I wrote it originally in the middle of this page as X minus X naught over T minus T naught. I'm trying to emphasize how symmetric and straightforward this is. It's like, as I say, it's like space over time. But then I'm doing this little technical thing to save us time in the future. I'm doing this little technical thing and saying, well, you know what? X naught, anything subscript 0 means the value of that thing when T equals 0. Like X naught means the value of X when T equals 0. As we found out last class, and many people participated at this moment, in our problem that we're analyzing here, X naught is equal to 4, right? X naught doesn't by definition have to be 0. It's whatever value X had when T equals 0. So in this whole problem, it's positive 4, X naught is. However, T naught, right? By the same definition, T naught means the value of T, when T equals 0. It means the value of time when the time began. So T naught actually always is 0, actually, if you think about it. That's right. So I'm doing this little red thing after the equation. So I'm trying to show you that even though average velocity is a straightforward, symmetric, not tricky relationship between space and time intervals, the truth of the matter is from here on in, we never have to write T naught again because T naught will always be 0. X naught might not be, but T naught will always be 0. So from now on, I'm writing V bar triple equal sign X minus X naught over T. From now on, average velocity is defined to be displacement over time. It can be written as an equation like that. And I will go on, but let me really emphasize now, because you'll see this if you try homework 2, you will start to see that I actually am saying something non-obvious here, or at least there's an implication of what I'm saying that's not obvious. I am saying from now on, average velocity means how much you are displaced per how much time. That's what it means. So it's a triple equal sign, which means that is always true. It's always true. Maybe occasionally it's not helpful, or maybe occasionally it's not relevant, maybe, but in physics, it's usually pretty relevant because it's like space and time. And whether it's relevant or not, it's always true. What is the hook of what I'm saying? Like, why am I making a big deal of this? Because I'm saying that what we're not saying here, and you're going to see this as a tricky point, like very soon, I'm not saying that average velocity is always the average of velocities. I'm not saying that. You might think the average velocity is the average of a bunch of velocities. It may or may not be. Sometimes that might be a useful way to think about it. Sometimes it might not. That's actually the truth of homework 2, is to show you that. What I'm saying is the first thing you should always write down as a GDP, as a solving problem technique from now on, the thing that is always true, because it's a definition, is that average velocity, whatever else it might be, is the total displacement over the total time. Okay, so that's our first equation. From here on in, if I ask you a question, you don't know the answer, or on a homework or whatever, you don't know an answer, or you don't even know how to begin by writing this down, because it's true. It's a GDP, you'll get points for it. And then hopefully it might jog your brain into telling you something next to do. But if nothing else, do this, because it's true and it'll get you points. It's not a blank. All right. Okay. Enough. All right. I'm going to assume that I talked enough that I correct. So again, there was an error on the sheet. Hopefully you caught that I corrected the error. Now I'm going to move. So now I'm going to go off the sidebar and back to the problem and finish it. I'm hoping that's clear. I almost want to look in your face and see. Wait, so what's weird is, okay, so I'm thinking it's totally clear to Amanda and Caitlin. They're like, yeah, move on already. Caroline's like, yeah, move on already. I got you. Okay. All right. And she's like, okay, so I'm going to assume that that's okay. So we're back to the problem. Back to the problem. Okay, so there's my step 3, GDP. Again, notice, I'm going to say this one more time. Notice that the fact that I'm writing down here for step 3, it's not any kind of fact from the problem. It's a fact from the universe. It's a general definition or principle. Now I go to step 4, okay? So that's why that whole sidebar was to justify this. You could write it in English, but from here on in, you could write it as an equation. It's the only equation we have in this class so far. Now I go to step 4, particular application and work. So now we're going from general to particular, from triple equal sign to double. So now I'm going to introduce the actual particular facts of this particular problem. Well, we know already, we established earlier on, we know that this, right, so I wrote here, whenever I write here, what I tend to mean is like, oh, now here in this particular context, X minus X naught equals -9 feet. And that was from last week, or, because we already figured out that, in other words, it was, just to remind you, it was like 4, sorry, no, it wasn't. It was -5 minus 4. That's where that came from, right? From last week. Okay. And T, well, it's 8 seconds, because the whole question is, what is the average velocity for the entire 8 seconds? So that's from the givens and the fact pattern, DFP. Okay, so sorry, I'm just gonna make it. Sorry, it's just so crammed in. It's right if you saw, but it's just crammed in. Okay, and there's no law against two equal signs in one statement, but I'm just saying two different ways of saying it. But that is my final answer, circled. Oh, sorry. Just notice, again, I'm dragging it out. And again, I'm erring on the side of boring many of you, I'm sure, and I apologize, but I want it to be clear. I really, if nothing else, there needs to be a distinction between the question and the thought process and the answer. Like there just needs to be that distinction. The steps. And I'm going to look in the chat. I see something in the chat. But let me say, I'm not saying I wrote out the steps in red in the margin to help you. You can do that as well. I'm not saying you literally have to label your steps. I mean, I know the labels, but I am saying your steps have to be explicit. Like you can't write one big thing and assume that all the information of the steps is implied in that one big thing. And the reason you can't do that is because if that were okay, then you could just literally write down the alphabet and say, here, Yaverbam, like, look, all the letters are there, just rearrange the letters and you'll find all the words of my answer somewhere in the alphabet. Like, right? Like, I can't do that for you. I mean, that's obnoxious, what I just said, but like, it's the same thing. Like the point is to put the thoughts on the table. Okay, sorry. So this is the final answer. That's the process for this. I'm going to move on, but I know there's something in the chat. Hang on one second. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a fair question. Sorry. In the chat, it said private. This is such a personal private question, but I'm going to ask it. Can the answer be written as -1.1? Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the bottom line is yes. Yes. I mean, I'm a big believer in significant digits. I am a big in my personal life, which is why it's a good thing that was a direct chat question. In my personal relationship to the electrons of the universe, I actually do believe in significant digits, and I think they like do something. However, I hated them for the first 20 years I was ever doing this or teaching this. I totally know that many of you hate worrying about significant digits, and I'll tell you that where they really, really matter is in lab stuff. Whatever your lab professor says, however strict your lab professor is or isn't about significant digits, you have to honor and respect that. Here, right, you can be a little casual about it. You have to be reasonable. And the rule of thumb, okay, I don't want to. So, I mean, look, on this homework, sure, yes. I mean, the answer is yes. You could write -1.1. What I'd really say is, especially on exams, when in doubt, include more, not less, if you're in doubt. And definitely you should include about as many significant digits as the original question included. But it's true, the original question just had numbers like -4, -5, -9, 1, 2. So really, direct chat person who's asking, she's right or he's right. Like the original facts, the problem never gave you anything to 4 or significant digits. So it's totally fine to write it as -1.1. Yes. And I'm picky enough about other things. I won't be so picky about that. So good question. Oh, and also, I'm sorry, Sam, question.
Yes. In your calculations towards the end, you have -9 feet divided by -8 feet. Wouldn't that give you a positive answer?
Oh, wait, that's a great, thank you, direct chat person, for closing. Wait, that's a great question and totally put this in a million participation portals also for using your voice. Thank you. Thank you. And it's totally great. I'm sorry. I see why you're asking. My bad. Wait, the negative on the 8 is my mistake. Thank you for pointing that out. Oh, I've got to open up a portal for people who politely point out my mistakes. Seriously, that's totally, I was about to say, I don't know where you got that from, but you got it from me. I did not mean to put, so let me back up. Sam is totally correct that a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And he's totally taking my notes seriously, which I really appreciate. I did not catch that I had put a negative on the 8. That was so a negative divided by a negative is a positive, but I didn't mean to have a negative by a negative. It should be negative 9 feet divided by positive 8 seconds, which makes -1. But that's a great catch. And really, anybody, including Sam or anybody else, can remind me by text that I should open up a portal for politely catching my mistakes. Seriously. So he's right. So did any, wait, and maybe Sam, wait, so Sam, that's what you're talking about, right? Did I address?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Great call, seriously. And could anybody else, especially maybe someone who hasn't participated at all today, could anybody else just put a hand up or just acknowledge in any way in the chat if you just caught that something else just got corrected? Because I hate people to go away with wrong. Did anybody else just oh, thank you. Oh, I saw it. Oh, and the hand went down so fast. Okay, thank you, Amy. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Savannah. Thank you, David Pinter. Thank you, Nicholas. Who else? I know this is like romper room, but thank you, Kevin. Who else did I just see? Thank you, Chloe. And really, please put that in, like submit that for points. And that counts as closing a conversational path. Like you don't just get 5 points for that. There's other portals to submit that, but thank you guys. And it's not a competition, but you can see why I'm like a freak show. No, you can't see why I'm a freak show until you meet my family. Then you'll know why I'm a freak. Oh, maybe you actually have met. Anyway, you will meet my family as time goes on. And they're not really, no, of course, it's not my children's fault that I'm a freak show. It's my parents' fault that I'm a freak show. It's my fault that my children are freak shows. It's my fault that you'll never get educated in physics. I'm sorry. No, right. No. So that was a good correction. And I'm glad other people caught it. And, and Dave and David still have their hands up. I don't know if are there also questions or are you, okay. Okay. No. And Dave, if you're good or not, okay. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to go on, but it just reminded me of something else about the portals. I can't remember. Okay. But yes, if at any moment you have an idea for a portal that I can make, or if I say something like, I'm going to change the date on the submit the 5-step, like if you feel like you're understanding the 5 steps now more, or you even just because you got back your homework and you don't like your score, like, please, I will change the date on that or remind me by text, but it's not too late to submit an explanation. Because I could see, in fact, one person even wrote me like, thank you for this opportunity because I thought I got them, but I didn't realize I didn't get them until I started trying to write them out. Now I get, like, it can help. But anyway, I'm going to move on. Okay, I'm going to change the view, move on. We will have it. Okay. So that was question 4. Okay, also sidebar for people that I'm totally bored, sidebar, I'm not even going to write it down, but for those people who are really like, oh my God, dude, seriously, I went to like Bronx High School of Science amazingness. Like really, I've seen this, but can you please move on? Well, one quick thing is on homework 2, just for anybody who's paying attention, homework 2 in the second or third problem where so this is a sidebar for people who are like looking for something new to hear in home. And it's also just a foreshadow, but in homework 2, which was called average speed, and something went up a hill and then it went down a hill. It went up the hill at 40 miles an hour. And then it went down the same hill at 50 miles an hour. Like, I think all of you have at least tried this homework now. Something went up. So I'm sidebarring here, but something went up a hill at 40 miles an hour. It went down the hill at 50. Oh, sorry. Oh, you're right. Ooh, excellent, Felicia. Oh my goodness. Why did my voice just change? But yes, she's right. Sorry, that was another correction. Thank God I didn't write anything down. But oh, total paying attention. Total 85 portals for that. 85 Nook miles too. Yes, Felicia's right. Felicia of the anime Avatar. She what I actually said in one of the problems of average speed is that you go up at, but seriously, thank you. I said, awesome. Oh, is that what it is? Did I miss that? Oh my God, I'm such a loser. That's so funny. Okay. Oh my God, that's brilliant. All right, I got to open up a portal for that too. I don't even know what that would mean, but oh, you guys are running circles there. Yeah, you definitely need me to go on faster. I can see that. I'm boring you here, but thank you for holding on and keeping the faith. So listen, as Felicia just pointed out, there's a problem where you go up at 40 miles an hour and then you come down the same hill at 60 miles an hour. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole thing right now, but just for the record, you go up at 40, you come down at 60, and the question is, what's the average speed? I just want to make clear the answer is not 50. And that is not a trick question. I mean, it's a tricky question. And I haven't looked at yours yet. So maybe all of you got it right. But if you put 50, that does not mean you're an idiot. And it doesn't mean, I got you. It doesn't mean, but if you put 50 for that, it means this class is worth your time maybe right now, or this big deal that I'm making about average velocity means displacement over time. And average speed, similarly, means distance over time. It doesn't mean the average of the speeds. So when you go up at 40 and you come down at 60, the same hill, if you literally just apply the definitions, because definitions are never wrong. If you apply the definitions and apply them very carefully, you will ultimately get a correct answer. There's no other information missing from that problem. In fact, I mean, it is missing. You might notice I never gave you the height of the hill. That is not an accident. Even though I've been caught in 2 errors already in this class today, that's not an error. I didn't give you the height of the hill yet. If you just follow these definitions, you can, by various different methods, and we'll get to it next. God, I said I was going to finish this problem by this class. We will get to it next, but the answer is not 50 if you apply definitions. If you apply some concept that says the average of the speed is just, I take the 2 speeds and I average them together, then you'd get 50. But we never are saying in this class that that is the definition of average speed. And the actual answer, maybe it's in the chat. So just so you know, there is something to be careful here that I'm trying to, okay. I mean, for whatever it's worth, the answer is 48. It's not 50. We'll get to that, but just as if that, and if you got 48, then electron bless America, then I'm really boring you, and then you're also really doing well. So yeah. All right, so I'm going to get back to this, but just know average velocity is total displacement over total time. That is always correct, even when it might not seem helpful. It's always correct. So now moving on, I'm going to really try to speed up now. No, I really am. No, really. No, really. Okay, question 5. In fact, yeah, I'm going to see if I can do for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to see if I can do this without talking. Wait, that's weird. But I mean, you know what I'm saying. All right, so hold on. Let me just bring up, what is question 5? Question 5 is, okay, so now question 5, we already have a diagram. So, okay, question 5. I'm going to stop notating in the margin. I'm going to trust you to see what I'm doing now. Okay, so the question now for question 5 is, what's the average speed for the first 5 seconds, right? So, and this is a speed thing, it's not a velocity thing, so I'm just keeping it in English here. So average speed by definition equals total distance, right, over total time. It doesn't equal average of the speeds. That's a triple equal sign. That's my GDP right there. Then I'm going to do the work out. So here, I'm saying here in this problem, the total distance, for the first 5 seconds. All right, I'm going to do this fast. And we're going to start speeding up now. For the first 5 seconds, well, the total distance is 12, right? He goes, well, the total distance is from 4 to, from 4 to -2, and then back from -2 to 4. In other words, really, the total distance is -2. You see what I'm doing? I'm going to assume that you do. Right? The total distance is he goes to 6, but to the left, but I don't care. He goes 6, and then he goes 6 to the right. And again, I care, but I don't care whether it's left or right. He goes 6 to the left, so the absolute value of -6, and then he goes 6 to the right, so the absolute value of +6. So he goes 6, and then he goes right just for the first 5 seconds. And the time, well, by definition, is 5. We're just talking about the first 5 seconds. So the average speed here is 12 feet over 5 seconds. So I'm going to say the average speed is 2.4 feet per second, right? Now stop. I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to start trying to move on, making a little more tracks here, but I think that's the answer to question 5. And I think I just put all the steps. This is looking more like what I would expect in your homework now, right? Like I'm not doing all the margins or all the sidebars, but I am doing all the steps. So that's, and I'm not always, and by the way, we're going to get to a point where I'm not even going to do the steps in class. I'm just going to give you what I think are the parts that you might not have known or the answers or something. In fact, that might happen now so we can save some track. So I'm going to say this from here on in. Okay, as a little experiment here and getting this class going, I've got 12 minutes. I'm going to try to blast through the rest of the homework. And again, I want to warn you, I almost should stop and say, I'm now just going to give you bits of information that I think might be what you're wondering or that you might not have thought of. I'm not doing the process anymore. This would not get you, what I'm going to do now would not get you full credit. It's just because I know a lot of you have been waiting for days and days and days to like find out the answers or whatever. Okay, so now I'm gonna, but I want to say too, I'm gonna start speeding up also just so we can experience speeding up. For 12 minutes, I'm gonna sort of blast through this. That does not mean you can't stop me and ask me questions. It might mean that we have to start off next class period with your questions. So please make a note. So, okay, so our first, so I'm not saying that if you don't get what I'm doing, you're dumb, really, or that you missed something. If you don't get what I'm about to say, please make a note of it. I might not answer it now. It might be the first thing we do next period. Please do make it, but don't assume that I'm assuming that this is all obvious. I'm just doing it fast so that we can start having some satisfaction and seeing what we know or what we don't. Wait, actually, I have 11 minutes, but can you just do an electronic hand? If it's clear, like that I'm shifting gears now, can you just do an electronic hand if you get what I'm about to? Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. I love this class. I really do like this class. Okay, cool. And it's not, okay, cool. All right, great. Thank you. And that counted as participation for those of you. All right, so now we're good, but I have to switch back and forth. So okay, so I'm now doing question. Okay, so that was question 5. So another question. Yeah, okay. So question 6. We have the average velocity. Oops, sorry. Average velocity for the first 5 seconds. Whoa, hello. I think I'm just cutting to the chase. I think it's. Okay, I'm just saying, I think the answer to question 6 is 0. The average velocity for the first 5 seconds is 0 for the simple fact that he ended up where he started. He was not displaced at all in total for those 5 seconds. It is a truism. It is a theorem you could take away from this now from here on in life. Anytime anybody ever does a round trip, no matter how complicated what they do might be, if they end up where they start, then if their final position is the same as their initial, then their total displacement is 0, and 0 divided by anything is 0. So the average velocity for any round trip is 0, even if the average speed might be something else like 2.4 feet per second. Okay, so that's it. That's question 6. Then, okay, we're going to go to part 2 now. I really do have to speed. Okay, 9 minutes. Okay, I may not be able to. I think, you know what? I think I really am just going to write down the answers here. All right, we may have to back up and explain these things. Write down where you have questions. We might have to explain them on Wednesday, but I think I better give you answers so that you can have. So, oh, well, no. Sorry. No, sorry. This part. You won't have questions about that. Sorry. Displacement. The displacement is +6. You don't have to write the positive sign, but just to be clear, it's positive. So the answers to the first two are 6 and 6. I'm going to turn the page now. I apologize. Let me know if you need me to go back. But question 3, what's the instructor's average speed as he moves from two? Okay. So the answer to question 4, just 3 is the average speed is 3 feet per second. I'm just doing distance over time. Then the average velocity, stupidly, is the same thing. It would have been, it's kind of stupid, but it's just true. Average speed and average velocity are not always the same thing, but they are in this case. 5, what's the average speed during the final 3 seconds of his journey? Well, in the final 3 seconds of his journey, he goes 9 feet, right? Because it goes all the way from -5 all the way to 4 in the that if you just read the original problem, and he does it in 3 seconds. So the average speed is 3 feet per second. That's the answer to 5. I'm looking to tell me 7 minutes. And again, if I get all these answers out and we have time, I will answer more questions today. But that's question 5, right? Then stupidly, I mean, these questions, they are a little bit stupid, but the average velocity for the last 3 seconds is 9 feet. It's the same thing. Okay, and then okay, and you do have to, these last two is where some people left it blank. This does involve work. I probably will break this down, slow this down a little bit and explain it in more detail next time, but I want to, again, just give you answers anyway.
Professor?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Savannah has her hand raised.
Oh, sorry, thank you. I was looking at the sheet while sorry, yes, sorry, Savannah, go. Thank you, Sam.
So sorry, that was from before. I don't have a question. You're good.
Oh, okay, thank you. But thank you both. No, that was, I'm going to open up a portal for that. That was like so considerate of both of you. Thank you. All right, wait, I'm going back. I'm changing the view. And sorry, I just have the view all messed up because I'm trying to look at the sheet. But okay, but that was cool. All right, part 3. Where did it go? All right, part 3, as far as the answers. Oh, where is the instructor? At what position in the 7th second? All right, I have to do this fast. At the 7th second. So the way I think about that, that is okay. We've got 3 minutes. I will try to explain this in a minute, or if not, on Wednesday. Some of you it's like totally obvious, and some of you it's very, very not obvious. This, I would definitely say, this is our first place where we're really now starting to think. and take our one equation that we have and rearrange it in a thoughtful way. It's no new information. It's just the one equation we have, but I did rearrange it. In short, what I'm saying though, well, all right, I'm saying the answer to the second to last question on the whole sheet is -2 feet. He's at the -2 mark. Okay. Why I think that is I think that at the 6th second, at t equals 6, when he began his final journey, he was standing there at -5, right? And for that final segment of the journey, when he started by standing there at -5, we have already figured out above that he's going a velocity of +3 feet per second. Every second he's advancing forward to the right 3 feet. So if he started at -5, 1 second later, at t equals 7, right? 1 second later, 1 second later, from t equals 6 to t equals 2, he's advanced 3 feet from the -5 mark. So he's now at the -2 mark. Again, for some of you, that may be obvious. For some of you, that might be all of a sudden like, wait, what? What just happened? I will re-explain this Wednesday. I'm not saying you should just accept what I'm saying, but I do think that's the answer, is -2 feet. And similarly, just so we could wrap this class up at like a closing place, in the very final question of the very final end of this whole sheet, finally, sorry, the very final question, what's the instructor's average velocity for the interval t equals 3 through t equals 7? So that's a very complicated question. Now we're asking the average velocity for something in the middle of all this. The bottom line is, do not try to average up some velocities. That will not work. If we want the average velocity, we have to do the total displacement per the total time. The total time we're talking about is 4 seconds. It tells you from t equals 3 to t equals 7. So we just need to know where he went to where he went in those times. Well, we do know. He went, because we just figured it out. He ended up at -2, like, was we just figured that out. At t equals 7, he was at -2, and I'm watching the clock. We have 1 more minute. At t equals 7, he was at -2, and at t equals 3, if I'm not mistaken, at t equals 3, he was also at -2, right? Because it's given in the problem. If you look back at time equals 3, we're just told he's at -2. So it's literally -2 plus 2 over 4 seconds. It's literally a round trip again. So we're going back to the original thing that we just concluded. In other words, the final answer to this whole sheet, and I think it is the hardest question on the whole sheet, whether you think it's hard or not, it's the hardest question on the sheet. The final answer to the whole thing is there's a round trip there. The average velocity for it is 0 feet per second. We'll pick up, please, if you had any questions or confusions, please, let's start off the class on Wednesday with your questions or confusions, but it is 1:30 now. I will hang out for a minute for anybody who wants to, but that's the sheet. You guys have been, I really am enjoying you. Oh, I have to leave. Oh, sorry, I have to leave. Okay. Yeah, so thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And I'll post the notes and the YouTube and blah, blah. Yes, have a great day, people. Thank you so much. Cheers. Right. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm here just in case anybody. Yeah. Okay.
Professor.
Yes.
I was